Ladies and gentlemen, this is a talk show. I knew a guy who saw time slip in an empty swimming pool. The interplay of shadows seemed to him so cool. I knew a girl who lost herself in an empty chrome bar stool. 2 fingers at a time, and nothing to do. Down here behind my plywood door, I keep my hot plate warm with memories of summer to keep me safe from the storm. The door has shifted off its hinges. I look down into green as Hangar Station comes into view like party goers on some forgotten wingding, like birds that build their nests on the sides of buildings. I feel so low, look so high, my head hit the ground, feet did touch the sky. They're partying on the 10th floor of the London Bridge Savoy that was blown out of orbit by a dime store atom toy. Be the first kid on your block with a heavy water bomb, or have it your way. You're a dog for a day, like party goers on some forgotten wingding, like birds that build their nests on the sides of buildings. Can you call this living? I feel so low, look so high, my head hit the ground, feet did touch the sky. La, 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 Welcome everyone to This is a Talk Show episode 2. I am Kristin Mueller-Heaslip. I call myself the Submerging Artist, and I'm going to invite to join us now Adam Bailey, who is our host for today.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us, and thank you, Kristin, for that lovely song. We have a great show for you today. We have Rachel King Parry, the surreal artist and comedian, with us today, and we also have the king of cabaret, Ryan G. Hinds. But first, I'd like to start off by talking about words. What are they, and why do we use them? I have 4 years of university theater training, and I know that the best way to communicate complex ideas is through the power of interpretive dance. But for those of you who do not have the fine choreography skills that I possess, you're stuck using words. And the words that you choose may leave your audiences gagged and gooped. Indeed, they may spill their tea on you and make you go to the library and see if the words that you're using are still valid. But if the thought of going out into public during times like these leaves you nervous and you want to bury all of your social obligations, telling all of your friends that you're going to stay stuck up in your hizzy fashizzy until Miss COVID-19 has her vaccine, then I cannot blame you. But much like your local drag artist, Oscar Wilde, or Snoop Dogg all know, words are a form of fashion. Heck, we all know it too. Come on, someone comes up with a new style of speech or turn of phrase, and we can't wait to play with those words, see how they feel tripping out of our own mouths. But through usage and time, these words can take on different connotations than they originally meant, and they can become clumsy artifacts. Just like fashion, just like how the high-waisted, sexy jean that girls used to wear in the 90s is now the mom jean that we use to denote frumpiness and giving up on yourself. Let's look at men's crop tops, shall we? I mean, back in 1985, men's crop tops were a great way for a young jock to show off his rippling abs. Heck, by 1995, the men's crop top became a practical uniform for gay male sex workers on the street, showing off their rippling abs to get new clientele. Indeed, that connotation meant that no men would wear the crop top anymore. Well, not anymore. It is coming back into style, but instead of being the street fashion for mullet-wearing hockey jocks, the new men's crop top is high fashion. Thousands of dollars can be spent to look like this. Why do I bring this up? Well, it seems that a number of senior academics and artists have all decided to sign on to a letter in Harper's Magazine, decrying, bemoaning the death of free speech and debate. Many of these signatories were unaware that this letter was going to be used as a shield for J.K. Rowling, whose transphobia keeps vomiting out of her mouth and onto her social media feeds. Some of these names were quite strange on this list. I mean, Noam Chomsky, Salman Rushdie. But it's easy to see that these men would be attracted to the words in this letter the same way that your great Aunt Martha is attracted to her crocheted bell bottoms hanging up in her closet, waiting for the day when they can come back into fashion. I mean, Noam Chomsky, he loves a good debate. He got in trouble debating why the US government was involved in Vietnam or Latin America. And Salman Rushdie, he was the liberal poster boy for freedom of speech issues after publishing the Satanic Verses landed a caliphate on his head and he had to hide in fear of his life. Although these men probably don't realize that those words have gone out of fashion. They've probably never had a member of PewDiePie's bro army yell, "freedom of speech," after spewing something hateful online, or Ben Shapiro or one of his acolytes take the words, "debate me," and wield those words like a weapon against minority communities. Indeed, one of the best ways to see if a word has gone out of fashion is to see if a new word has replaced it. Young people aren't afraid of talking about big hot button issues, but they don't call it debate. They call it the discourse. Something that doesn't imply competition or binary sides, and something that you're all asked into with great responsibility. Now, this isn't to exonerate these men and their verbal faux pas, but it is a reminder for the rest of us to keep our vocabularies up to date and to be careful about what we sign when we are online. Once again, thank you for joining us today. We have great guests for you, but first I'd like to welcome back Kristin Mueller-Heaslip.
Hi, Adam.
Hello, Kristin. How are you?
I'm good. I like your William Shakespeare statue.
Oh, thank you.
It's very cultured.
Speaking of words, there's a wordsmith right there. He's been keeping me some company during isolation. How have you been handling isolation?
Well, I thought I was doing okay, but then I had I had this moment, actually this whole day, where I was convinced that I'd caught it, but it turned out I had just taken a Gravol the night before and I felt really weird and couldn't wake up. So then I was like, oh no, this is how it starts. I feel like I can't get out of bed, and I was just really tired.
Have you been doing anything? Have you been doing anything to keep yourself busy?
I started making underwear. Yeah.
But you started making underwear?
Underwear, yeah.
You know you can buy that online, right?
Yeah, but why would you do that when you have a sewing machine and free time?
Is it difficult to make underwear?
Well, I'm going to start selling them, so yes, it's extremely difficult, and you should pay me lots of money.
Oh, excellent. And how can we get
No, it's not very hard. You should still pay me for them.
How can we get a hold of your underwear? I can't believe I'm asking that online.
You can't yet, but I think maybe next episode, this show may have a new sponsor. So
nice.
Stay tuned.
Well, I've been having some fun times in social isolation. I've been really looking at myself and taking stock of who I am. Last night, I was having a social distancing gathering and described myself quite clearly as cilantro to somebody else. And I don't think I've seen myself more clearly as describing myself as the loved and loathed spice, cilantro.
Oh, I like cilantro, so I'll take it. I think it's a great description.
It's a 50-50 with that one, though.
No, it's only like 20% of people who hate cilantro, like genetically. So.
Well, you know what isn't 50-50? Our guests today. So let's bring on Rachel King Parry.
Yeah, come on, Rachel.
Who is a wonderful artist. Rachel King Parry is a surrealist artist, and we see her here. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. I, for one, cannot get enough cilantro. I love cilantro.
You love cilantro?
I do. Too
Thai
much.
or Mexican?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it. Give me it all.
Now, Rachel, you're a surrealist artist, and so sometimes your work is a little bit like cilantro too, isn't it? Like you have people who love it and people who don't get it.
I get hate mail sometimes, yes.
Wait, you've gotten hate mail?
I have gotten hate mail, usually for the more religious context work, but sometimes people can't handle the truth.
Oh wow! Is one of the paintings you're going to show us today one of your religious context paintings? Because that's a great lead-in. If that's what.
If I didn't have those ones out at a restaurant, I would.
Oh right. Of course, you were showing your work in restaurants when everything closed down. So you still have pieces that are locked away.
Locked
that
away.
Must be stressful.
I mean, it would be if I thought that I couldn't get them back. But I'm not especially worried. Like, I feel like I can trust the restaurants that have my artwork. If someone wants to put my artwork up on their walls, I do feel like I can trust them. Oh no, I can't hear you now.
Adam, what's going on?
Rachel, can we hear you?
I can hear Rachel. Hi, this is really fun, guys. Sorry. Give us a minute.
There we go. Sorry about that to our audience. This happens. This is everyone being on the internet at the exact same time. Rachel, let's go back and talk about your paintings once again.
Okay. You can see a few here. These are all my cat. But as I've mentioned, I don't only paint my cat. I also paint other people's cats and sometimes things that are not cats.
Sometimes things that are not cats. Do you have any other examples of your paintings for us?
I do.
Wow.
So this is a fairy, the green fairy. Or
absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Exactly. I had one by that name too. And that was 2 elephants. That one's sold. Also got dogs. A few of these mosaics.
Oh, wow. This is quite gorgeous work.
Thank you. This elephant breathing out a nebula.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. What inspires you to paint pieces like this, Rachel?
Oh, it comes from everywhere. A lot of it is linguistic too. Like you were talking about words coming out of fashion. Sometimes I mishear things, or there's an idiom that I think would be a fun visual. When you were introducing your interpretive dance, I didn't hear the part at the end, and I thought you were being interpretive Dan, which is a great character, which I think you could develop.
So you mishear things and then you develop paintings and ideas from your misheard world. You're also a comedy writer, and I've seen some of your work before, and I think I could see how that could also influence your comedy writing. Does that influence your comedy writing?
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to say exactly one place where like influence comes from. Some of it's like world events too. But yeah, I think, what was a misheard thing? I can't remember.
That's fine.
I could stumble over this if you like.
So why don't you show us some of the pieces that you have for sale online?
Sure. They also come in the form of masks lately off Redbubble. You can order clothes, masks. I like to focus on things that are absolutely terrifying. I feel that it's important.
The Hellmouth travel mug, that is absolutely terrifying. But I can see where someone would want that. I know people who would enjoy having something like that to walk down the street with.
Yeah, nobody will try and share your mug with you if you have that.
Oh, and this is one of the masks. This is very trendy and up to date. We have a mask here.
Made off of this painting.
Oh, and yeah. Oh, that's really cool. And have you where can you buy these?
So the merchandise kind of things you can get off redbubble.com. You'll have to look up Rachel SV Parry. I can link that somewhere in the stream, maybe on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in the comments and put it in the description under this when we're finished filming today. That's fantastic. That's really interesting work. And I love the cats. I love the elephant spitting out a nebula. That's gorgeous. And you also are online doing a lot of comedy. Do you want to tell us about the comedy troupe that you have going right now online?
So every Tuesday night, we've been playing this game called Snake Oil. We've been doing it live, and it's basically where one person acts out a role, like a job or a description of who they are, and the rest of the group gets 2 random word cards they have to turn into a product and sell. And whoever has the best sales pitch wins, and it gets really, really zany.
And where can our audience find that?
That we've been streaming on Snake Oil Tuesdays, a page on Facebook. We've been streaming it over Facebook through Zoom. So you should be able to find all of our backdated shows. Watch them all.
And so that's every Tuesday at 8 p.m.?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today, Rachel. We're going to have you back for the news in a little bit, but I would like to get to our next guest now, and I'm really excited to have him with us today. I call him the King of Cabaret, and I'm certainly not the only person who calls him that. He's also been called Fringe Royalty. He is the first Black actor to play Hedwig and Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce for you Mr. Ryan G. Hinds.
Hello. How are you guys?
Hello, I'm fantastic because I am
You
indoors.
don't have a mask on. I don't know if we can be in contact. I'm kidding. Nice to see you.
It's fabulous seeing you. Where are you?
So I'm here in lovely Jamestown Park here in Toronto. I'm doing a performance up in the park later with a local community arts group. It's social distanced, and we rehearsed in a socially distanced and sterilized environment, so it's safe from that perspective. But it's a beautiful day here in Toronto. It's hot. It's real hot, but it's a gorgeous day for some performance art in a park.
Yeah, that is a lot of people who are seeing this in other places probably don't realize how hot Toronto gets in the summer because Canada has such a cold reputation, but it boils here.
It's so hot, you could wrap me in foil and serve me with dinner. I'm baking over here, let me tell you.
Is that an invitation? I think I might be up for that. Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about the group you're performing with right now in the park?
Yeah, so it's Jammy is a local community arts group based out of the Esplanade, which is a community here in downtown Toronto. And they really focus on bringing forward stories of the community and involving community members in their artistic practices. So what is happening today is they had a bunch of people in the community draw portraits of each other, and not just like drawing a picture of somebody, but really, really artistic with different mediums and different words they've placed on. And then they invited artists from outside of the community to come into the community and create performances based off of the portraits. So you're bringing the stories of local people to life, and it's really, really beautiful. It's really humbling to learn someone's life story and learn what has driven them over their lifetime, or saved them during the pandemic, or kept them going, or has been a real struggle for them. Having the chance to bring those stories to life and bring those to a wider audience is a really, really beautiful thing. So I'm really fortunate to be part of it and fortunate to be asked.
That does sound fantastic. Now, you don't just work with community artists, you've also worked with some rather big names, haven't you?
I have. I've worked with Liza Minnelli. I've worked with Lance Bass from InSync. Let me tell you a Lance Bass story from before he was publicly out. Those of us with, shall we say, evidence knew that he was a little homosexual boy before he came out. But I was an extra on a movie that he filmed here in Toronto called On the Line. And one day when we were on set between takes, a little kid on set came over and asked for his autograph, and he's very nice. So we said yes, and he signed it for her. And she said, "I wish that you had more solos in sync. I wish we could hear you sing more." And he said, "Well, Justin and JC get all the solos because, you know, they're tenors. I'm a bass. Someone's got to be the man of the group." And there was a moment of silence, and all of the adults in the film set fell apart laughing, because we all know if somebody needs the man of the group, it's not going to be Lance, bless his heart. And so that kind of became the running joke for the rest of the shoot. Whenever they were ready to start filming, they'd say, "Okay, we need to bring the man of the set before the cameras. All right, where's the man of the set? We're ready to start going." So yeah, that's my Lance Bass story. I've got some others, but they're not appropriate for public consumption.
Oh my. Oh my. What about Liza Minnelli? Speaking of gay icons, Lance Bass, he's minor compared to Liza. What was it like working with her? Yeah,
she is just the nicest, kindest, most wonderful person. A lot of people really like making fun of her. I'm not one of those people because I've seen firsthand how generous she can be, how thoughtful she can be. She's a real artist in the room. She thinks like an actor. She hears like a musician. She sees like a visual artist. And just the kindness that she moves through spaces with really, really taught me a lot and showed me at a young age what kind of artist I wanted to grow up to be. Because there's a thing about Liza in the industry. People will tease her for being a bit loopy, but nobody will say she's not an incredibly nice person. And in show business, people like that are really few and far between. It's really, really rare. Everybody who knows her or has worked with her loves Liza.
I mean, and her output's also fantastic. Cabaret is one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah. I love Arrested Development, which shows that she's aware of herself and she's fine with making fun of herself. She actually did all of her own stunts on Arrested Development, and she's really happy about that. Anytime she did a pratfall or was getting up or fell behind the couch, that's really her. A lot of actors her age would kind of opt for a stunt person to do that, but that's her because she's a trooper. She's also fluent in French. I discovered she went to boarding school in Europe as a teenager and has retained her French. So whenever she's abroad or if she's here in Canada, in Quebec, she can fully have conversations and socialize in French. I was in a music video with her the day after that. And on the set for the day after that, she was singing like Frère Jacques and other French folk tunes with a beautiful lilting accent. So there's another Liza surprise. Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. I didn't think someone could make me love Liza more, but you were certainly succeeding in making me love Liza, even that little bit more. That is quite fantastic. Now, Kristin, if you want to come in and join the conversation, you're in Montreal right now, correct?
Oui, I do live in Montreal.
Now, is your French as good as Liza's?
I don't know. I hope so. It gives me something new to aspire to.
Ryan, how is your French?
Mon français, c'est comme ci, comme ça.
And what did he say, Kristin?
He said, Liza Minnelli is awesome.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Is there anything else that you're doing right now that you'd like to let us know about, Ryan?
Not really. I'm just I'm trying to get through the pandemic and the quarantine day by day. I'm lucky and fortunate that sometimes projects kind of drop in my lap and show up. Sometimes they're digital, sometimes they're in real life, but socially distanced. But this park project is the last thing I have for a while. So, you know, I'm just trying to stay cool at home, take it easy, be there for my friends, and be ready for when everything's lifted.
But Ryan, I thought that there was something digital that's happening right now for you. Isn't there?
There is. Ugh, I'm such a bad artist. I forget things I'm working on. So I directed a play. I directed a radio drama called Sarah Frank. We ran in the Toronto Fringe Festival, and we're onward next to the Hamilton Fringe Festival. It's a fabulous true life story about a woman named Sarah, a Canadian woman named Sarah, who served in the American Civil War as a man named Frank. And the play is the story of the journey of her life, written beautifully by Stephen Elliott Jackson, performed wonderfully by Rebecca Parry. It's really an interesting play. It's really informative and cool to have kind of a queer Canadian historical heritage moment. And I'm excited that we're going to Hamilton Fringe. I've never been to Hamilton Fringe as an artist in real life, so it's cool to be there as a digital artist. One of the weird things about directing a radio play during a quarantine is that, you know, I directed the play, we rehearsed the play, we opened, we ran, we closed, and I never left my couch. We did it all on Zoom. We did it all digitally. So although I have a deep pride and respect of it, it still doesn't feel kind of tactical and real to me. A few days ago, I got together with the creative team from Sarah Frank for the first time ever, and we got together for dinner on a local patio, and we hung out and were social and we're joking and talking, and it was so strange to me that we were doing that, but the show was already done. The show had already been completed, and we hadn't all gotten together yet. So it's a real nice pleasure. Well, everybody hear the church bells in the background? I'm not.
The noise canceling, unfortunately, has knocked out the background of those church bells. But
Yeah.
I'm sitting next to St. James Church, and I have not burst into flames yet. It's a miracle, the holy miracle.
Well, I would like to let the audience know that Sarah Frank is a fabulous show. I did have a chance to listen to it last weekend. If you go online to Hamilton Fringe, I don't know if you search that, I'm sure you'll find the Hamilton Fringe. Not that festival, or what the festival? What's it called properly?
What the fest? What the Fringe? Yeah.
And find Sarah Frank. It's a fabulous show. It's about a 25-minute listen. Highly recommend it. It's a great way to spend your afternoon. Kristin and I have actually been physically in Hamilton for the Fringe. It's a lovely city. They've got lots of talent there. But speaking of people who are talented,
nice beaches too.
Pardon?
They got some nice beaches in Hamilton too.
I've never been to the beach in Hamilton.
Yeah.
I did accidentally climb the mountain because Google Maps gave me a bike route to go somewhere and neglected to mention the mountain was in the way. So it was I got to some stairs and I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing now.
Well, speaking of mountains of talent, let's bring back Rachel King Parry.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to do the news. Now, we like to have fun doing the news on This Is the Talk Show. What we do is between episodes, we find fun articles, topical articles, and we throw them into a pile. And then we kind of just bring them up at random to see how we feel about that story. And we'll go 3 to 7 minutes talking about whatever news story comes up. Kristin, when she gets bored, she'll tell us it's time to move on. And hopefully everyone gets a chance to speak. Now, we are on Zoom, so I'll try and guide it around the circle that I have in front of me, going from Ryan to Rachel to Kristin and back to myself. But let's start with our first story.
Absolutely. So Canada is issued a new series of coins featuring, creatures of the North. So here we have Cthulhu, our Lord and Savior, now is being properly honored by the Canadian Mint.
Release the Kraken. Now, I have to admit, I picked this story thinking that Rachel would love this piece of artwork. Rachel, what are your thoughts on this new Canadian coin with 999 written under a giant sea monster Cthulhu type Kraken? How does this make you feel about Canada?
I think this is gorgeous. Like, this is what I want to be spending. I love this money. It's worth more to me than any dollar.
It's officially bullion, and I guess it's a pirate ship kind of theme, so that makes sense. Ryan, what do you think of our lovely coin here?
If we're honoring beasts and monsters of the North, how come there isn't a Mulrooney coin yet? I mean, let's be honest about that one.
Brian or Ben?
Both. Have a whole series. Throw in Caroline while we're at it.
Beasts of the North, and it's just the Mulrooney family. Kristin, what are your thoughts of this coin?
Well, I agree with Rachel. I don't know if I could bring myself to spend it, but I could definitely see it, putting it up in a sort of coin display thing on a mantelpiece, and possibly, giving it little offerings from time to time just in case. But it is true, like what Beasts of the North should we be honoring, as well as the giant squid? There's always the Yeti, the Wendigo. There's many
Ogo
monsters that
Pogo.
aren't being represented here.
Yeah, Ogopogo doesn't have a coin, and yet the Kraken does. That is quite a surprise. We're missing out on showing the world what Canada is really all about. And we have the Looney and the Toonie. What is this going to be? The harpoon?
I don't know. I don't remember, and I cut off the story before it says. I think what it is beautiful.
Well, I guess it's time to move on to our next story.
Our next story is about a brewery in Calgary that was being topical, and they introduced a cherry Karen sour beer, and then it was pulled off the shelves because people were like, "Come on, man, this is already over."
Can I speak to the manager is the tagline of that beer, Karen Cherry Sour. Let's bring everyone back up on the screen so we can see all of your beautiful faces. What are our thoughts on a Karen Cherry Sour?
Well, if nothing else is going to make you stop drinking, I think this one is going to be the one to knock you off your taste for it.
Rachel?
How sour is this sour? If it's really, really sour, then that's probably appropriate. I don't know about cherry, though. I like cherry.
I feel like fruit beer is it seems like a better idea than it actually is. A lot of the time it's like, this is like vaguely beer flavored pop, it's too sweet, but I don't know, maybe it might be good, but we'll never know.
Does the beer can come with a layered bob?
Let me check the image again.
I'm a big fan of sour beers, but I'm a big fan of making fun of what's in the culture. And I think that Karens are an appropriate topic of humor. And one might think that it was Karens that actually got the can pulled. I mean, complaining about everything is what they're known for. But actually BLM made the complaints that got the can pulled from stores and had the brewery take that advertising line down. Black Lives Matter actually thought it was distracting from real life issues that are happening right now. So do we have any thoughts about that, Ryan?
Well, for me, it's should I be worried about the Karen beer? Maybe. Should I be worried about how many people are being arrested and beat up by police for no reason? Yes, that's the ticket, as they used to say. That's the thing we should be worried about. So I'm inclined to agree with BLM on this. Let's keep our eyes on the prize and concentrate on what matters.
So BLM is correct. We should this can is a distraction. It makes us worried about Karens and not maybe the bad phone calls Karens are making.
Yeah. And also, we're all coming out of a pandemic. Who can afford beer anyway?
Me.
I'm broke. I got no money.
It's all that's keeping me going. The days and the nights only have one thing different between them, and that sometimes having a drink.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Karens, we have another Karen to share with you. A woman who refused to wear a mask at a Starbucks wants half of the $100,000 raised for baristas she shamed online, which that is a complicated headline. But that pretty much is the whole story. Some lady went into a Starbucks, refused to put on a mask. She made fun of this barista, Lenin Gutierrez, online. And now that people have raised money on their behalf, she's like, well, someone should give me some of their money because I have been the victim here.
So is this like a copyright issue? Like because she was used as part of the fundraising, half of it is hers?
No,
Like,
it's mostly because she's like, well, I'm the one who was wronged.
oh my goodness.
Because why didn't anyone raise $100,000 for me?
Rachel, what are your thoughts? She wants half of the shamed barista's money because it was her shaming him that got him the money raised.
Wow. All that hard work she did in shaming, man, like maybe she feels like she earned it.
Maybe she was upset that she wasn't wearing your mask, Rachel.
Yeah.
Like you should find out.
I mean, I'd be upset not wearing my own mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I owe any. I don't think I deserve any of that $100,000 though. I think poor fragile Karen needs to reassess.
This is up there for the most Karen that Karen'd kind of thing to, you shame someone, it goes viral online, they get a tip jar put up on PayPal and they get 100,000 US dollars. That's fantastic for that barista. And then to step in and be like, no, half of that is mine. Why do you think she feels entitled to that money, Ryan?
Listen, Barista Gutierrez can keep every cent of the $100,000 if he learns to spell my name correctly when I order my drink. Then and only then can he keep that $100,000. I'm still salty about that. Let me talk to the manager about that. How hard is it to spell Ryan? There's 4 letters.
Has anyone done a Karen-y thing, ask for the manager, and then felt bad about it afterwards? Like, what? Do you have a personal Karen story you would like to share with us? Once again, we'll start with Ryan.
My life is a personal Karen story. I'll ask for the manager and I won't feel bad about it. My personal pet peeve is having to repeat my order a bunch of times because people don't listen. I have a loud voice. I project. I'm clear with my consonants and pronunciation. If you can't make my very, very simple drink after like 3 tries of me telling you what it is, you bet your ass I'm going to ask for the manager. And I'm also going to ask for half of the $100,000 too while I'm at it. I need some money. We're in a pandemic. I'm broke.
You can't afford beer. You want some Karen money. After this, we'll have to put a PayPal tip jar up for you.
Yeah, for Ryan.
Rachel, what about you? Have you ever been a Karen? Have you ever asked for the manager?
You know what? I don't remember, which means probably yes. But I mean, I know it's happened. Like I've had Karens come at me before.
Ooh, please dish.
Okay, so there was this the first big job I had was working at Greg's Ice Cream, which just closed. And
wait, what did you just say?
Greg's Ice Cream just closed. But it was my first job in Toronto.
We all have to sorry, Rachel. We all have to like hold our heads silent for a moment. For those of you who don't know,
everyone
Greg's
get a drink.
Ice Cream.
Everyone gets some ice cream and then pour it on the floor.
Oh, the roasted marshmallow ice cream from Greg's. It was the best. It tasted like he actually made a campfire and roasted real marshmallows on wood to get that flavor. You will not be forgotten. Okay, Rachel, back to your story. Make us laugh. Tell us about
roasted marshmallow. Everyone loves it so much that they were so often sold out. And like some nights people would forget to put a full container into like the front freezer for it to thaw out. So we'd get people coming in at the start of my shift and be like, I would like 2 liters of your roasted marshmallow ice cream. And I would have to tell them, it's actually frozen solid right now. I can't do this for you without breaking my arm.
They'd be like, break your arm then.
And then this one Karen, she said that that there were people in the States who worked for $4 an hour who would be more than happy to do that for her. And I was like, you should go there. You should get them to do this for you. That sounds really, really cost effective.
Well, I love when Karens just admit on their own that they're high up enough the middle class ladder that they've now learned how to pit poor people against each other. The real purpose of capitalism. Kristin, what about you? Do you have any Karen experiences?
Well, I not that many, but I have to say my grandfather had a lot of Karen energy, and was famous in my hometown of London, Ontario, for making a nuisance of himself in retail establishments, to the point where like he like there was like one guy at the bank that whenever he would go into the bank to do whatever it is you did in banks before we all did our banking online, would be like he'd come up to the counter just to deal with him because he was the only one who would. And he had a hobby of collecting old audio reel-to-reel equipment and tapes, you know, these big old things that they used to play on the radio, which was great. They were really neat, and he had this whole great setup. He was buying them on eBay in like the early 2000s, and he was somehow or other he got banned from like all of the sellers. I don't know what he did, but he was just like this belligerent 75-year-old internet troll. So he would make my mom go on the internet and buy his tapes for him, which I always
that was my nickname in high school. Belligerent 75-year-old internet troll.
There you go. Well, I now know where his spirit has gone. But every time I have to call and ask for a manager, like, because it's like you order a thing and it doesn't show up, or, you know, your fridge was supposed to be delivered and they brought you know, pool table or whatever. Like, I always feel like I'm like, okay, I have to like connect with the spirit of my grandfather. It's like, that's what you have to do. You call and make a nuisance of yourself until you get what you need.
I was fine talking to the manager if I was very polite and getting the discount that I knew that I could get. If I was like super polite about it, but now that there's a pandemic, I feel super guilty if someone's gone out of their way to deliver something to me, making any kind of complaint. I ache at that because they're making it so I don't have to leave my house. I don't want to make any complaints about them.
Yeah.
But you brought up male Karen, so that's great. Is there any other news that you have for us, Kristin?
Yes, speaking of problematic men, I've got a very Freudian slide to share with us next. Let me just give me a minute here and pull it up. So here's why men are pointing loaded guns at their dicks. But you think this is not a smart thing to do, and you'd be right. This is some kind of internet fight. It's too boring to really go into. It's internal fighting between gun owners, some of them who are like, well, we have guns, so we're not all that balanced as people, but we're not going to be that bad about it. And other ones are like, I can do whatever I want with my gun. See, this is me doing whatever I want with my gun, including this.
So grown men are pointing loaded guns at their dicks.
To prove a point. It's not quite sure what point.
Of course, yeah, to prove it. That's very clear. To prove a point. I need to see everyone's faces again. This is. I want to see the Rachel's face is great.
Like... we got Darwin Awards.
Yeah. Well, it's efficient.
I'll be honest. It's been a long pandemic. Pointing a gun at my dick is like the most action I've had in months. So I'm just gonna take what I can get. Beggars can't be choosers.
So Ryan's point, beggars can't be choosers. Rachel, your face exploded in disgust. I really wanted to hear your response to these men wanting to show how much testosterone they have by pointing guns at their dicks.
If you want to shoot your dick off, please do. Go for it. I will not stop you.
Rachel King Parry will not stop a man. Have you dated anyone who would be that dumb? Do you know any guys that are that?
Of course. I've dated lots of people that stupid.
Like what's the percent odds on getting straddled with a boyfriend that's stupid? What do you think? What do you think your chances are?
Oh, 75.
75% odds that you might end up straddled with a boyfriend or a husband who's that stupid. Those are bad odds. Rachel, what was your thoughts when you saw this article, Kristin?
My thought was much to Rachel's. It's like, well, at least it's their own dicks. It's not someone else's. I mean, if you really want to do that, I guess we can't stop you. But just, I don't know, put a tarp down, clean up afterwards. And just from like a dumb thing to do with a gun, if you're going to accidentally shoot yourself somewhere, it's like maybe not best to pick someplace with a really high blood flow, right? So it seems like an unwise action. But there's a concept. I said it's very Freudian. There's a concept of the death drive, right? Is that not only do we all secretly have all these like the id, which is seeking pleasure all the time and power, but we also have this desire to die. And I feel this is a great expression and stupid expression of this.
I just want to note that I love that you were concerned about the mess it would make.
Well, someone's got to clean that carpet.
And not to harp on this point too much, but there's a pandemic on. The hospitals are full. There's no room in the emergency ward for guys who have shot their dicks off. They're full of people dying of coronavirus. They don't want you rolling up there being like, oh, guess what I did?
Well, and some more pandemic related news. And also speaking of dicks, I'm going to nominate as dick behavior every bar patron in Montreal, because apparently our government here, we reopened bars on July 1st. And now if you've been to a bar at all since they've reopened, you have to go get tested now, because there's a little, not a big one, but a little mini spike happening just from people going to bars, because guess what? Drunk people are bad at social distancing and wearing masks. And as a parent and someone who likes alcohol, I really don't like being forced into this choice, but I can drink at home. So
I mean, I love that the Quebecois government has at least settled legally, because the government has now said it, that it's almost impossible to differentiate school children from drunk people. Because I have always had that belief, and when I look at this headline, that's the first thing that comes into my head. And if we can make sure, actually, I think the video is pinned on Ryan. If we can unpin Ryan so we can see everyone's faces.
Yeah.
Our audience has gotten a lot of Ryan since we've come on the screen.
Well, we're in gallery view, so people should be seeing that on YouTube. But yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's all cool.
Here's the thing with Montreal, and this is why I love /hate/love Montreal. Montreal was the first city in Canada that reopened their gay bathhouses, and in the case of one particular one, I'm not going to name it because I don't want them to sue me for defamation, even though it's true. They opened on a Friday, and then a guy went to the opening and then died on a Saturday. So they had to close again. Now, what more proof do you need that they should stay closed? The guy died before they were finished cleaning up from the opening party. That's too soon. That means we're not ready.
But how do they trace the death the next day to COVID? I thought it took a minimum of 5 days for you to show symptoms. Or was he just like a keener? Like he was fast about everything?
I feel like he was a keener. I feel like there may have been underlying conditions, quote unquote. Maybe he just got a whole bunch of the Rona. Who knows? All I know is it's too soon. We need to keep staying closed. We need to keep wearing our masks. And then open later, like next year, next summer, 2023. Who knows? All I'm just saying is it's too soon right now.
It's time for governments to take care of their citizens and for us to all stay the F home. When we go outside, wear a mask. Rachel, what are your thoughts about...
I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I love that the article headline makes it look like you have to choose one. Schools or bars. But not only do
you have to choose one, schools or bars.
I choose bathhouses. That's my choice.
I choose to send our children to the bars. That is what we need to do. Let the kids drink.
Well, I mean, I think courtesy of another pandemic from, I don't know which one, but there is a bar which does not appear in Montreal, which does not appear to have a name, but merely the sign which says verre stérilisé or sterilized glasses out front in neon. So this is apparently not our first rodeo.
Advertise what the people want.
Yeah.
What's your next story?
Well, speaking of dicks, here is the hungriest black hole in the universe.
I refuse to be spoken about that way. What? What's this?
Yeah, they just found a black hole that's really big. It's the hungriest hole in the universe. That's it. It's a cool science story.
gobbles up one sun per day. Oh my God. I made the joke before I finished reading the whole headline.
Well, I mean, we all have hungry holes, so
Everybody's got a hungry hole.
mine's a more gentle pink. It's not,
Oh, gross.
and it's not gobbling up a sun per day. I mean, maybe once a week. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I think we're all.
How
feeling
about you,
that.
Rachel? What are your thoughts on the hungry hole?
I mean, I think we've all, like, since lockdown started, we've all been competing for that. Like, I definitely have eaten I've 22 pounds of flour we bought. I've eaten it, all of it. It's gone.
What,
Did
just
you turn it
with
into
a
anything
spoon,
first,
or
or
did you
just
bake?
eat flour?
By the spoonful, raw, yum yum.
What's our next slide?
Well, we shouldn't worry too much about the children going to school because they apparently in Vancouver they can take the bus. So this is this story is not as interesting, not really all that interesting. But this dude had some kind of custody battle with, not custody, but some kind of conflict with his ex because he kept letting his kids take the bus by themselves. And there was some back and forth about it, and now apparently it's okay.
This is interesting because, like, when I moved to Toronto for grade 6, I would hop on the TTC all the time by myself, and I think I was, by today's standards, too young to ride a bus by myself. And I think there's a real generational thing there. Rachel, were you a bus rider? Like, you're younger than me.
Adam, times are different now, though. Buses are no longer pulled by horses. They have an internal motor, so the values of society have evolved.
Wait. Combustion engines are allowed on vehicles? Isn't that dangerous? The horse-drawn subway system that I used to ride when I was a child, those tunnel horses, they were so efficient. Bring back tunnel horses. That's what I want.
Horses were so common by the time I was a child that I actually went to school directly by mule. Like, we had our own. We don't need to carpool mule.
There was, during the 2008 financial crash, in I think in one of the Carolinas, a whole bunch of students, because they couldn't afford gas anymore, and they're all like farmers, started taking their horses to school, and the school had no place to put that many horses. The articles were, they didn't have room for that many horses. Not that they didn't have room for horses in the high school parking lot, just not the volume that they were coming at. I find that to be quite funny.
I think that's sweet because the horses could like hang out, but it might just get kind of hot, right? Because there is probably a parking lot, there's no shade, they don't have anything to eat. You know, who's looking after the horses? But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of like the horses just having like horse friends because they had to take someone to school.
I'm sure horses have horse friends. That's the whole point of being a horse. Not to have horse friends.
Maybe they could take classes while they're at school.
Math.
There was a horse that could solve math problems. I mean, sure, it was just watching its master nod its head, but the whole of the world was convinced that was the truth for a while.
My one strong feeling about this case is usually when you see a news story where a divorced dad has gone to court over something else is going on than what's in the story. I'm always very skeptical about that, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is just common sense prevails.
Well, you think like it's just another dad trying to find a legal way to get his kids to fuck off?
Or trying to fuck with his ex, I don't know. Like, that seems to be the case a lot of the time. Anyway.
But I do know in a lot of cases there's issues with like people who can't afford childcare wanting their kids to be able to free range at least from one place to another by bus and not having that right because suddenly everyone's calling, you know, child services because they want the kid to take the bus from one program to the next. So it could be that too. It's hard to say. There's lots of reasons why kids should be allowed to take the bus, and there's lots of reasons why they shouldn't. And I guess in Vancouver, they're allowed now.
These kids anyway. So we're going to end with a feel-good story for our time. Oops, that is the wrong one.
The hungry hole gobbling up sons wasn't a feel-good story?
No, here we go. Well, maybe for the whole it was. I don't know. Artist replaced slave trader statue with one of a Black Lives Matter protester. So there's a statue of this dude, Edward Colton, in, I forget where now. I've forgotten. Edward Colston, sorry, in I think Brighton. I don't remember where.
Yeah, it was in Bristol, Brighton.
Yeah, and people took down his. Still on my show. I don't know. Sorry. Talking about choosing between children and alcohol. All right, and they took down his statue. It was something of a thing, and now they put up a new one, which is more appropriate.
And it's a Black Lives Matter protester with her
Yes.
fist in the air.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a feel-good story. I'm certainly happy that they got rid of a statue of a slave trader, because like I don't think he was famous for much other than that. Good statue to get rid of, and then to put up something so appropriate as the replacement, it just kind of makes you happy. It puts a smile on your face.
When does Barista Gutierrez from Starbucks get a statue? That's what I want to know.
You want the Starbucks barista to get a statue?
This is $100,000 to make him a statue.
I don't think you can get much of a statue for $100,000.
All day long. His eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord and the coming of multiple Karens and their children and people like me. Like, if he deserves a statue.
I'm not gonna. A statue to service workers is actually something that we could probably have more of. Screw the people who have millions of dollars we vote into high offices. What about the people who are working, sweeping the streets and keeping our grocery stores running and giving us coffees during a pandemic? Yeah, give them some statues too. I'm up for that.
Yeah. More
statues for more people, yeah. Rachel, what about you? Do you think you could design some statues for us?
Well, I'm not much of a sculptor, but yes, absolutely. I'm gonna take
Paul
that up.
McCartney designed a butt plug to put in Rotterdam, and he's a musician. You can paint these gorgeous cats behind you. Surely you could sculpt us something.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, service people, and maybe also a big statue of a butt plug, because that's also a service that should be provided for people.
It's true. It's true. People do, especially the hungriest hole.
Hungry hole. Yeah. I was gonna say that.
The hungriest hole needs a butt plug statue. That is the final thought that we're gonna have for today. I really want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Ryan G. Hinds. You are fabulous. You are the king of cabaret. You have Sarah Frank on right now at What the Fest as part of the Hamilton Fringe's Internet Fringe Festival. Rachel Parry, you have Snake Oil Tuesdays happening at 8 p.m. every Tuesday night on Facebook as well. You have artwork that's available for sale online, and we'll put that sale link in the description of this video later. I want to thank you both for joining us today. And I think that's everything. Oh, no, next, in 2 weeks, we have a really exciting lineup. We have Robert Watson from Gay AF, Toronto, a fabulous comedian joining us. And we have Trish Parry joining us from Tampa Bay, Florida, to talk about the fringe that they have down there, as well as her expertise, beer. So hopefully you can join us on 4:30 Saturday, August the 1st. And until then, thank you for joining us today. And Kristin Mueller-Heaslip will be singing us out.
Yep. Bye. Just turning off everyone's videos. Give me a second. Les trois dames qui jouaient